Hi guys, welcome back to Bite Size Excel. In our last video, we looked at SUMIF, COUNTIF and AVERAGEIFS. And in this video, we're going to take a look at the next step, which is basically looking at SUMIFS, COUNTIFS and AVERAGEIFS. And what these functions allow you to do is they allow you to sum up when there are multiple criteria you want to look at. Equally, you can count against multiple criteria or take the average based again on multiple criteria. So if we take a quick recap, with our SUMIF, we looked at a range, then there was a criteria, and then there was a column or the range that you wanted to add up. With our COUNTIF, we had a range, and then we used the criteria to add the number of times that particular criteria appeared in that range. And with our AVERAGEIFS, similar to the SUMIF, we had a range, we looked at criteria in that range, and then return the average of the values in the range in our third parameter here. So looking first at SUMIFS. Now say in this example, we want to have a look at a particular year and a particular category within that year. So say, for example, we want to look at utilities. So to start our function, it's equals SUMIFS. Open our brackets. Now, unlike with the SUMIF function where your criteria comes first, in your SUMIFS you start with the range you want to add up. So in this instance, this is our amounts column. We're going to use our keyboard shortcut F4 to make it absolute. And then our second parameter is the range that our first criteria falls into. So we'll make that our year, make it absolute. The third parameter is our criteria, which in this instance is going to be this cell which displays our year. And then what we can go on and do is have our second criteria range, which is going to be our category, and our second criteria. And you can carry this on into a third, fourth, and so on and so forth. However, in this instance, in this example, we're just going to use 2. So we're going to close our brackets and finish our formula. What you're finding here is you're finding the sum of the utilities category that falls into 2015. So if I were to quickly filter 2015 and then look at my utilities only, we should get the same value here as we do here. So we're going to quickly just clear our data here. So moving on to our COUNTIFS, we start our function COUNTIFS. So in this instance, we want to count how many utilities are falling into 2015. So our first criteria is the year. Our second is going to be our category. So we start with the range for our year first, make that absolute. Then our criteria, again, I'll make it absolute. Then we select our second criteria range. And then our final criteria, which is this cell here. And hitting enter, we'll see that we have 3 utilities in 2015, which are these 3 here, which is correct. So our AVERAGEIFS works in the same way as our SUMIFS did. So we start with our range that we want to average, make that absolute. Then we have our first criteria range, followed by our first criteria, our second criteria range, and our second criteria. And as with SUMIFS, you could carry this on, and we'll get the average of our utilities in 2015. So if we scroll up to 2015, look at our utilities, our average is 839.67, which is the same value as we get here. And if we change our parameters in our cell here, all our values will update. Now, one little tip we looked at in our last video was the use of wildcards when you're looking up a text value. So as with previous, what we can do is we can take at the end and just include a star. And then if you have ones which start with maybe a certain word or a certain reference, you can look that up without knowing what the end bit here is. So we'll still add these, even if you change the end bit, because it's only looking up the first 4 characters and then the rest is a wildcard. So that's a really quick introduction to SUMIFS, AVERAGEIFS and COUNTIFS. If there's anything particular that you'd like to know, please do let me know in a comment. I do hope that you found this short video useful, Remember to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video.